Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Timeless English Stories. Take a slow breath, settle into your place, and let this story carry you across time. Today, we look at a girl who started with nothing. She had no family, she had no name, but she changed the way the world looks forever. Imagine a cold orphanage in France. The year is 1895. A 12-year-old girl is sewing a plain black dress. Her father left her there in a wooden cart and never returned. She has no toys, no books, and no money. But she is holding a single metal needle. She works in silence, day after day. She is learning to sew perfect, straight stitches. She does not know it yet, but this simple needle will change her life. In a few years, she will leave this orphanage. She will go to the bright city of Paris and build a giant fashion empire. Queen princesses and rich women will wait in long lines just to buy her designs. Her name is Coco Chanel. Stay with me, my friend. This is Coco Chanel, and this is a story that will take us across an entire lifetime. Let us look at the world of fashion in the early 1900s. For women, it was a painful and uncomfortable time. The rich society of Paris had strict rules. Women had to wear heavy, tight clothing called corsets. These corsets were made of wood and metal. They were pulled so tight around the waist that women could not breathe. Some women even fainted because their clothes were too tight. On top of that, they had to wear giant hats decorated with heavy fake flowers, long feathers, and even stuffed birds. It was impossible for women to run, to work, or to move quickly. They were treated like beautiful, silent toys. They were locked inside their clothes like heavy cages. But Gabrielle Chanel wanted to change everything. She was born poor in 1883. When she was only 12, her mother died. Her father did not want to take care of his daughters. He put them in a wooden cart, drove them to a cold orphanage run by strict nuns, walked away, and never came back. The nuns wore only black and white. They made the young girls wear the same plain black dresses every single day. There was no beauty there, but in this quiet place, Gabrielle learned a valuable skill. The nuns taught her how to sew with great care. Every day, she sat by the window and practiced. She learned how to make perfect, straight stitches. She did not know it then, but this simple needle would save her life. When she turned 18, she had to leave the orphanage. She was completely alone. She had no family and no money. Rich people did not want to talk to an orphan girl. At that time, a woman was not even allowed to own a business without a man's permission. The doors of the world were locked. But Gabrielle had her needle, and inside her, she had a quiet, burning determination. She did not want to be invisible. She decided to use her skill to build her own path. She began by sewing in a small shop during the day. At night, she sang in a noisy cafe filled with soldiers and smoke. She sang a popular song about a girl who lost her dog, named Coco. The crowd loved her. Every time she walked onto the stage, they shouted, "Coco, Coco." It was a simple nickname, but it became the name of a revolution. Coco wanted to make her own way. She met a wealthy young Englishman named Arthur Capel, whom everyone called Boy. Boy Capel was different. He did not want Coco to just stay at home. He saw her sharp mind. He believed in her dreams. He gave her some money so she could open a small hat shop in Paris. In a world of giant, heavy hats, Coco made small, simple hats out of light straw. She cut off all the heavy feathers and flowers. At first, the traditional male designers laughed at her. They said her hats were too simple and looked like they were made for poor farmers. They predicted she would fail in a few weeks. But the young women of Paris were tired of their heavy hats. They wanted to feel the warm sun on their faces. They saw Coco's hats and loved them. Soon, the richest women in Paris were coming to her shop. Then, the Great War started. Men went to fight, and women had to go to work. They had to drive trucks and work in offices. They could not do these things while wearing heavy corsets. Coco saw this change. She made loose, simple clothes from a soft, cheap fabric called jersey. This fabric was normally used only for men's underwear. Rich people thought she was crazy, but Coco did not care. The fabric was soft. It allowed women to bend, to run, and to walk fast. She made loose trousers for women. She cut their long hair short. She took off the painful corsets and threw them away. She gave women their bodies back. She showed them that they could be active and still look beautiful. Have you ever felt that the walls around you were simply too high to climb? Coco felt this way too. In her early days, she sat alone in her dark workshop at night, looking at bills she could not pay. She had no rich family to protect her. She was just an orphan girl in a world ruled by wealthy men. But she refused to stop. She kept sewing, day after day, night after night, until her fingers were sore. She did not let the laughter of others stop her. Her greatest triumph came in 1921. She wanted to create a perfume that smelled clean and fresh, like a modern woman, not like a sweet garden. She mixed rare ingredients with a new chemical called aldehydes. She tested many different bottles. Finally, she picked bottle number 5. It did not smell of a single flower. It smelled fresh, like cold air and soap. She called it Chanel No. 5. It became the most famous perfume in history. Then, in 1926, she created something that changed history forever. She introduced the little black dress. Before Coco, black clothes were worn only by servants or by people at funerals. It was the color of sadness and death. But Coco remembered the simple black dresses of her childhood in the orphanage. She took that memory of sadness and turned it into pure elegance. She made a simple, short black dress with no heavy decorations. Vogue magazine called it the Ford of fashion because everyone wanted to have one. It allowed the woman herself to shine, not just her clothes. Coco had taken the dark color of her lonely childhood and used it to conquer the world. The male designers were shocked. They realized their empire of heavy corsets was over. Coco Chanel had won. But behind all the gold and success, there were secret tears. Coco Chanel became one of the richest women in the world, but she was deeply lonely. The greatest tragedy of her life was the loss of Boy Capel. He was her first love, her partner, and her best friend. In the winter of 1919, Boy Capel was driving his car on a dark road. The road was wet, and his car crashed. He died instantly. When Coco heard the news, she drove straight to the scene. She saw the ruined, burnt metal of the car on the side of the road. She realized the only man she ever loved was gone forever. She sat on the cold dirt road and cried in the dark night. She had millions of dollars, but she was completely alone. Some people say she made all her dresses black after that day because she wanted the whole world to wear black and mourn with her. She never married. She spent the rest of her life focused entirely on her work. Her work became her home, her husband, and her family. She worked until her very last days. She died peacefully in her hotel room in 1971 at the age of 87. She did not leave behind a family, but she left a legacy of freedom. She changed the way women walked, looked, and felt about themselves. If Coco Chanel were here today, she would tell us that your past does not define your future. You do not need a perfect start to do something beautiful. You can take your darkest memories and use them to create something wonderful. And so, my friend, this story comes gently to its close. Think back to the 12-year-old girl sitting in the cold orphanage, sewing her simple black dress under the weak light of a candle. She was lonely, she was poor, and she had every reason to give up. But she kept sewing. She kept her needle moving through the dark. Learning English is very much like Coco's journey. In the beginning, you might feel like you are sitting in a dark, difficult place. You might feel that your words are too simple, or that you make too many mistakes. You might feel that the rules of the language are like a tight corset that stops you from speaking freely. But remember, you do not need to use big, heavy, complicated words to be understood. True elegance is simple. You only need the determination to try, to sow one small piece of your language every day, and to turn your quiet, daily efforts into a beautiful, strong voice. Which part of Coco Chanel's story inspired you the most? Was it her bravery to throw away the painful corsets and change how women dress? Or was it her ability to turn her sad childhood memories of the color black into the most famous dress in the world? Please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. If this story brought value to your English practice today, please subscribe and join me here again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, my friend, take care of yourself and never stop learning.